Whether you're at the cabin, in the field, or off to the rodeo, we've got a great show for you this week.
Come on, there goes the horn and the stones go in. We got 4 wagons here. And heaping down our trailers. There we go. It looks like we're heaping security off that point barrel. And the Jarley is in an awful hurry. Last out will be Heavenly Rose, my co-editor.
I'm Lisa Guenther, Canadian Cattlemen editor, and your host this week for Between the Rows. We're off to the races this week with chuckwagon driver Amber LaRue, as she competes for the first time in 2 years.
I always have a game plan of what I'm driving, depending on the barrel, but make sure those horses are ready to go for the night.
And we'll hear from the Manitoba Co-operator's Gord Gilmour on how railways are failing shippers and what we should do about it.
When it comes to Western Canada's economy, success is inextricably linked to the railways. The Fathers of Confederation knew this. That's why completing a rail link to British Columbia within 10 years was a condition of it joining Canada in 1871.
But first, here's a word from our sponsors.
Farm kids are fortunate. We inherit the land and the lessons that come with it. The lessons are more valuable. I learned early on while chopping thistle on our Kansas cattle farm the value of hard work. I use this every day at Case IH. Because if it's valuable, you pass it on. My name is Ryan. I am a farmer, and I work for Case IH.
Case IH, built by farmers.
I'm Lisa Guenther of Canadian Cattlemen magazine, and you're listening to Between the Rows. Earlier this spring, we heard from Amber LaRue as she prepared for the chuckwagon season. Her first without her father there to cheer her on and pitch in. In June, I caught up with Amber at Poundmaker First Nation. It was Amber's first race since 2019. While I was there, I also chatted with chuckwagon driver Jamie Laboucane and judge Dale Haroldson about what it takes to be part of this high-octane sport.
Come on, it looks like we're heaping security off that.
Describe your wagon for us, actually, because it's kind of a unique design, I think.
It's kind of a combination of, when I ran ponies, I had like a weird lace design on my pony wagon. So I kind of wanted to bring that forward in 2019 because it was very feminine and unique and flashy. And then after 2019, I'm like, well, that's part of me, but I'm also very much a warrior going into this. And every part of my life I've had to be strong with and everything, so we wanted a little more strength with it. So we have a warrior woman on the side of it, and we incorporated, this is Iron Jet and Jordan Buckle artwork. She did the design of the woman and the unicorn and the mystical part in the middle of it, and then Iron Jet incorporated it with my old decal, so it's all one flowing piece, and it even flows into my tarp. And yeah, it's a piece of artwork on the side of a wagon.
It's really cool. So tell me, how does your day start at these events? What time do you get up? What do you do first thing?
We usually get up between 7 and 8, depending on the day, and come out, give the boys their oats. They eat for as long as they want to, kind of thing. And then we make sure the pens have water, a bit of hay, a bit of oats in them. They get kicked out into electric fence till noon. And the barn gets cleaned, stripped. Water pails get dumped. Their oat pails all get cleaned out. They get fresh oats, fresh water, fresh hay for the afternoon, and they come in at noon, and then make sure everyone's looked over, kind of decide, I always have a game plan of what I'm driving, depending on the barrel, but make sure those horses are ready to go for the night. And then we get some rest in the afternoon. We have breakfast, and then we get some rest, take care of whatever needs taken care of, and then around 4 or 5 o'clock, things start get rolling, make sure all the bits are right on the harness and everything's ready. Everyone's brushed and clean and ready to go out to the track, which is going to be a bit of a project later this afternoon because they've been rolling in the mud. But and then pre-race, I'm in heat 2 tonight, so our start time's at 7 o'clock, so we have to be ready to roll by about 6:50. So
Okay.
these guys will be getting harnessed around a little after 6, and yeah.
And we're standing in their barn right now, which is like a tarp setup kind of off of your trailer. So listeners, not readers, listeners may hear a little bit of wind and the horses. How many horses do you have here? Do you have all 3 teams? Or?
Yeah, I have 3 full wagon outfits and 3 outriding horses with me. And some of the wagon horses can do double duty as outriding horses, but yeah, I have my 3 outfits and 3 outriding horses, so 15 total. Tonight, just because of the track conditions and the fact that we've sat for 2 days, I'm running one of my older wheel teams that I trust and a new right leader off of 4 just to give him his first trip.
Okay.
And yeah.
Yeah. Is that Yoda?
Yeah.
Yeah. And how do you feel going into all this? Are you feeling pretty confident?
I'm not going to lie, it's kind of weird coming back after 2 years because when you've raced every year consecutively, it's a different feeling than it is when you've taken 2 years off and coming back because there's a lot of work involved to it, and I haven't had that, rush for a minute. So I'm looking forward to getting through tonight, and yeah, the reward of 2 years of hard work of getting this liner ready and all my family's time that we've put into this will be worthwhile tonight, I feel. So
Yeah. And so you talked about kind of running a more experienced team. Anything else strategy-wise that you're thinking, given the track conditions and everything today? Or
it's a combination of track conditions as well as myself. I want to go out there with the outfit I trust the most, and that's those 4, even though it's going to be Yoda's first trip. He's a quirky horse, but I trust that we're going to have a good trip off the 4. And my goal is to get out there and be able to be in a position where I can pick where I want to be on the track. So I don't want to be down on the rail after all this rain, so.
Okay, Dale Haroldson from Melfort, Saskatchewan. I've been in the chuckwagon business pretty well all my life. We buy and sell and race thoroughbred race horses. I raced with CPC a lot of years ago, and my son Tim Haroldson run here for quite a few years, and he went over to the World Association for a number of years and retired in 2014. So then I went judging with the World Association and judged Calgary since 2014, still the last couple of years when we had the COVID deal, and then after that, of course, I went here. They give me a call. So some of the directors that I know pretty good, and guys that have actually outrode for us over the years, and that was about it. And that's what we're doing. I'm judging these here, and I do the Indian relay race and do some arena stuff for them, and yeah, it's good.
So, and what does it take to be a judge for chuckwagon racing? Like, what's involved?
Well, the first thing, you got to be honest. You can sleep with the guy or the girl, it don't matter. But when you go to chuckwagon race, you got to call what you see, not what somebody else tells you. You call what you see, and it's got to be straight up front. No BS. And that's about it. Honesty is a big thing, and you got to know the game. I mean, you just can't come in off the street and be a chuckwagon judge. You got to have some idea what it's all about. And it's actually a pretty good deal, But you got to be a chuckwagon person in order to do it. I mean, you just can't come in out of the blue like that, and you got to know what you're doing, and you got to know the difference between a horse and an elephant. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We just watch that they're not running into one another and over the barrels and into, they're keeping the game straight out there, and they're not endangering the horses or themselves. That's about what it is. It's a safety deal, and that's why we're there.
And tell me how you got into this sport.
1963. I was in Cloverdale, British Columbia. I was shoeing horses at the racetrack in Vancouver. And Tom Dorchester, had 3 or 4 guys phone from Cloverdale where we're looking for horseshoers to come on and show their thoroughbreds on the long weekend in May. So we went out, and that's how I got to meet those wagon drivers. That year they phoned. We went to Calgary. We had an old 49 Chev. We drove to Calgary, me and 2 other shoers, and we went to Calgary. It was a 4-day show then, and that's how it all started. And yeah, I've raced horses from Quebec City, Quebec, and we've been to Cheyenne, Wyoming, to Fort Nelson, British Columbia. We've been at every place that there is. And
Jamie Laboucane. Been driving since 2006, I guess, and yeah, I don't know.
And your parents are into chuckwagon racing as well, right?
Yeah, my dad started, I think, back in 1969 and raced till 2014. I think it was 47 years or something like that, 46, 47 years. I started out riding when I was 15 years old and then started driving a year after I graduated from high school. So I've been driving for a long time. I quit out riding back in 2013 after a knee injury, and yeah, I've been part of the sport my whole life. It's in my blood, and I love it.
So what does it, like, what's involved in being a chuckwagon driver? I mean, obviously it's a lot of work and expense, of course, but, and horsemanship, but yeah, just tell me what you see as important.
Everything. It's a full-time job, 365 days a year. It's not like, let's just say owning a race car where you can park it in the garage at the end of the season and come back to it. You got all these horses that you got to feed and look after throughout not just the race season, but throughout the whole winter. And that comes with barriers and, everything else that comes with owning horses.
these aren't canner horses. These are high-end horses, and that's what the speed is unreal today with these horses. But no, they look at these horses. I'm sure in the majority of the barns come first. They eat before you do. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then and if you don't go there with that incentive that the horse is first, you better pack your gear and go home.
And, it's not just, like you said, the horsemanship, everything like that, but then you got to deal with, working on yourself, as promoting yourself as a business and a performer so you can sell yourself to sponsors, and learning how to talk well in the media so you put on a good face and everything around it. So, you can't just be, a good driver, a good horseman. You gotta train yourself to do a little bit of everything, so then you can afford to go down the road and buy fuel and pay for everything that you need to be successful, and buy those better horses and put more into your feeding, training, and everything else that goes into it, and then figuring out your programs that work. And it takes a lot of time and effort to find those horses, and you got to be able to recognize the talent and develop them. So I always tell somebody, they asked me, I said, I'm a driver, yes, but I'm also a coach. It's my job to figure out where these equine athletes fit best on my wagon so I can get the best out of them every single go. So, and as a coach, you gotta work on the whole program as far as it goes for your feeding program, your training program, and your driving on top of that. So you have to have a lot of hats when you're a wagon driver.
And we talked kind of a little bit at the show about what makes a potential Lee versus Wheeler horse. Can you just touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, so I like my leaders to kind of essentially pull your arms off. So difference between left and right, your left leader has to carry you all the way around the top barrel. So you want something really rammy and chargy on the left, and your right leader you want, as soon as that pressure release happens, for them to come back at you. So I actually this year, all three of my right leaders are really, like, they drop as soon as you pull line on them, and my left leader, same thing, they come around hard. So I'm really happy with all three of my lead teams. As for wheelers, it's kind of the same concept. You want your right wheeler to set up and not, because if you have a rammy right wheeler, they'll jar your lead team and you don't get that nice swooping motion around the top barrel. So you want a left wheeler that charges and takes everything around, and your right wheeler, they need to set up and like almost side pass around the top barrel to come around if you don't swoop hard enough. So every horse definitely plays a crucial role in barreling and has to be the perfect fit to that role.
You got to use a lot of common sense, and you got to love horses. You got to respect them. Not just the horse, but you got to respect the people you're working with. You know, it's not a big shot game here. They're just all down to earth people, and that's about it. Yeah. And you got to have the want to drive. You got to have the desire to, you know, it's I don't know, but adrenaline rush, I guess, but
what's your like when you've got a horse that's new to chuckwagon racing, you always pair them with veterans, or what's your strategy?
I like to, because they always feed off of each other. And if you put them, so I actually didn't, out of 15 horses, I didn't run one. And that's Bro's partner, Little C. And Little C's a second-year horse. And not that he's nervous or anything, but I wanted Bro to go out there with the most confident right wheeler that I have. So I drove him with Nasty from Robbie. Just, if you drive horses that are confident and go out there like whatever, everybody feeds off of that, myself included. And I only wanted the one wild card, on that outfit rather than a few. So when we go to Wainwright this weekend, I'm going to put that outfit back together with Little C and Bro and that big lead team. So it'll be good. But yeah, I don't like driving a bunch of young horses together. I try fit in one at a time, and that's just maybe me playing a little safe, but that's, yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's more of a long-term strategy, right?
I don't want a horse to ever have a bad experience. So if you put them out there, like, your older horses generally are really good to start new stuff in races with, because their nerves are a little bit at, like, most of what I have, their nerves are at bay. You can go out there and trust them and kind of, I don't want to say predict what they're going to do, but they're pretty reliable. Mm-hmm. As we're a middle years horse, like Little C, I think he's 8 this year, and it's only his second season. He could still have a bad day, and I don't want his bad day to be Bro's first day. So, yeah.
That's interesting. And then, I mean, on the people side, you've got like this whole crew too, and yeah, like how do you, I mean, I guess these are people, family and people you've known forever, but like how do you put together like a
it's like crew? Initiation by fire. So it's my fiance Brock's first season. We got together in the fall of 2019 after my first season. So it's his first season on the road, even though he's been around the boys and everything at home. Being on the road is a totally different atmosphere, and my like nerves and patience is a totally different scenario. So that's a little bit new for us. My mom traveled every weekend in 2019, but she was more in the grandstand. But now that I need more help, she's back and she's leading out riding horses and brushing and helping with barn and being camp cook. She's really stepped into a big role. And my one outrider, Buddy Gran, is traveling with us this year, which is really nice. He's super handy with the horses and knows all of them. And then the most like instrumental is my good friend Kelsey Hardstaff. He's stepped up and is coming with us. I'm really good friends with his wife, Adina. And Kelsey's assistant driving for me and helping out and keeping my nerves at bay more than anything. He drove ponies for years, and that's how we know each other. So he's a good guy to have around because he knows how to hook, he knows how to handle horses, and he knows how to handle pre-game pressure, which is really important. So he's been really instrumental in keeping my everything rolling together and keeping me calm. So
all riding for Amber LaRue, Buddy Gran, and Basil Mosquito. Ryan Martin's on the one with Michael Menda. We roll on in. I think we got everything ironed out. Iron Jet into 4. The Aiken Security into 2. Come on, there goes the horn and the stones go in. We got 4 wagons here. And beaten down by 2. looks like Mohican security off that 3-barrel. Kevin Desjardins is in an awful hurry. We're off back about 3 from the leader to 5. Island Jet Promotions and Amber LaRue. That's Keith Pink. And they'll turn the roads as the Thunder goes into that third corner. You see the white spades of that Rocky Brender outfit. Antoine Trucking is trucking here on the Poundmaker Crane Nation. Now Kevin Desjardins, Mohican security, he's not going to let him get away too far. He's back by about 2 lengths, maybe a length and 3/4 as they turn forward, ask for a little more down the home stretch drive. The white spades are out there tonight, they mean business. Rocky Brender's outfit, Antoine Trucking is going to win this one. Driven by lane 38 wins by about 2 lengths ahead of Mohican security. Amber LaRue will take third. Island Jet Promotions and Heavenly Rose.
Okay, Amber, so we're post show, and you had 2 more races after I last talked to you. So yeah, just tell me a bit how that went.
Saturday I drove a different outfit. I drove a different outfit every night, which was something that I had done before, but it's not my go-to. So I'm proud of myself with the first show of the year. I utilized all 3 outfits, especially because the track conditions weren't. It was heavy, so I didn't really want to overdo it for anybody, so we switched outfits every night. And Sunday we finally got some good ground so I can let stuff go, and I hooked my good outfit off the 3-barrel, and we had a redraw Saturday night. And yeah, we had a redraw, and I ended up stealing the rail off the 3-barrel, and I had my first top 10 finish. I was 10th overall on the day, so that was pretty exciting for everyone involved, for us back at camp.
That was Amber LaRue, Jamie Laboucane, and Dale Haroldson. At press time, Jamie Laboucane was second in the Canadian Professional Chuckwagon Association overall standings, and Amber 24th. You can find Amber and Jamie on Instagram and Facebook. For the most current standings and show schedule, visit cpcaracing.com. Canada's railways are like the circulatory system of our economy, moving goods across the country, says Gord Gilmour, editor of the Manitoba Co-operator. So what do we do when those arteries get clogged? Gord shares his thoughts.
When it comes to Western Canada's economy, success is inextricably linked to the railways. The Fathers of Confederation knew this. That's why completing a rail link to British Columbia within 10 years was a condition of it joining Canada in 1871. Today, railways are the circulatory system of our economy, primarily bringing manufactured goods in and shipping bulk commodities out. But lately, those arteries have been clogged, and shippers are increasingly complaining of poor service. Here are 4 things everyone in agriculture should know about our major railways. Number 1, there may be 2 of them, but there isn't much overlap on their networks. One runs straight south across the bottom of the prairies, the other in an arc across the top of the prairies. If you're shipping grain on an elevator on one of these lines, or the network that connects to them, you really don't have any choice who you're shipping with. Number 2, trucking is cost prohibitive. We don't have a natural waterway like the Mississippi River, and we're an exporting nation. If you're growing grain on the prairies, most of it's moving to port position on a railway. Number 3,
all operators are busy at this time. Please hold.
Please hold while we connect you to the next available agent.
Because there aren't any alternatives, railways don't have to worry about service. They know they'll get to move that grain sooner or later.
Your call is very important to us. Please hold.
So instead, they spend most of their energy keeping their costs as low as possible, which is what their shareholders demand. Unfortunately, that means there's no surge capacity to recover if there's a flood, bad weather, or a labor disruption.
No, seriously, you really, really matter. Please hold.
Number 4. The latest rejiggering of the rules regulating railways attempted to deal with this. But in practice, a number of things, like penalties for non-performance, just haven't materialized. It seems the problem that regulators are facing is how to simulate competition in a fundamentally uncompetitive environment so customers get the benefit. Government and industry have tried just about everything to resolve this, except treating those ribbons of steel like highways. It's time running rights got the go-ahead, and other rail operators got to run on them, injecting real, actual competition into the system. Because after a century and a half, it's clear that this problem isn't going to solve itself.
That was Gord Gilmour, editor of the Manitoba Co-operator. That's it for Between the Rows this week. Thanks to Bruce Thorson for his fine work weaving together this show. Thanks as well to Gord and all our guests this week. I'm Lisa Guenther, your host this week and editor of Canadian Cattlemen. Thanks for listening and enjoy your summer.
Farm kids are fortunate. We inherit the land and the lessons that come with it. The lessons are more valuable. I learned early on while chopping thistle on our Kansas cattle farm the value of hard work. I use this every day at Case IH. Because if it's valuable, you pass it on. My name is Ryan. I am a farmer, and I work for Case IH.
Case IH, built by farmers.